from the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications. You're watching WUFT News at 6.
An investigation is underway after an Ocala police officer was accidentally shot and killed. That's our top story for today. Good evening. It's Tuesday, April 7th. I'm Chloe Stradinger.
And I'm Jessica Barreto. Thanks for joining us. Jared Forsyth was finishing routine firearms qualification training when he was accidentally hit by a bullet fired from a fellow officer's gun. Sarah Daly joins us now with the details. Sarah, how did this happen?
Chloe, Jessica, Ocala police say officers were done with training and in the process of cleaning their weapons when one officer's gun accidentally fired and the bullet ricocheted off a bench and hit Officer Forsyth, who was standing 25 feet away. The police department won't release many details about yesterday's accident. The FDLE is still investigating whether there was a criminal violation in the death of Officer Jared Forsyth. Flags are flying at half-staff and the mood is somber at the Ocala Police Department today. Officers are mourning the loss of their friend and colleague, 33-year-old Jared Forsyth. One employee here at Lowell Correctional Institution told me the accidental shooting happened right here across the street at a firing range. Officer Forsyth was shot in the arm, an area that was not protected by his bulletproof vest. The bullet traveled through Forsyth's arm and into his chest around 3 p.m. yesterday. He was immediately taken to the hospital by ambulance. By 5:30 p.m., Ocala police were notified that Forsyth had not survived.
FDLE is investigating, and what they're there to investigate is to make sure whether or not there was anything that reaches a level of a criminal violation. Once they've cleared that, it comes back to us, and our internal professional standards will investigate to see if there are any policy violations or not. We have a lot of things going on right now, a lot of balls in the air to try and make sure that all of our people are okay, and that we allow the mourning to occur.
This is the first time in 60 years an Ocala police officer has been killed in service. Jared Forsyth is survived by his mother and stepfather. He has been with the Ocala Police Department for 3 years. Colleagues say he was on his way to specializing in DUIs.
Memories of him remind me why we got into this job. They remind me to enjoy every day, and that what we're here to do is serve, and not to take everything personal, to enjoy the giving back that we get to do in helping people and fixing something for someone or helping them get through something, because he truly loved that.
The name of the other officer involved in the shooting is not being released at this time. The Ocala police chief is planning a memorial service with Forsyth's family.
Thanks, Sarah. Although Forsyth was wearing a bulletproof vest during training, vulnerabilities in the armor allowed that bullet to enter the side of his chest. WFT's Jonathan Perez explains.
The Ocala shooting has prompted a re-examination of safety measures for Alachua County Sheriff's deputies and their bulletproof vests.
We do learn from others, and we will look at what happened down there once all the facts are out and we have a better picture of what happened. We will look at that and see if that's something that we can see why it happened, how it happened, and if it's something that we can prevent or we can change some of our training methods so that we don't get into that situation.
There are different types of bulletproof vests that include external and concealed versions. Each vest is tailored for male and female officers, but even the perfectly fitted vests have areas of vulnerability. There are sections just above the neck and underneath the arms that are exposed as the gear wraps around the torso, covering the front and back. Phalanx Defense Systems provides armor for the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, and it takes them about 30 to 45 days to create and deliver the individual vests.
They'll release certain specifications they're looking for. They'll release a certain weight or a certain thickness that people can bid on, basically. And then as long as we have an armor that meets it, we'll submit a bid, and then they'll either accept us or accept someone else, and whoever they accept will then get all the measurements for all of their officers.
Phalanx, the Gainesville company, is constantly researching and developing stronger and better armor for the future. Jonathan Perez, WUFT News.
Forgy says bulletproof vests are always a great safety precaution, but they don't always stop everything.
And some storms are developing across north central Florida.
UF forecaster Tony Sadiku is joining us live from McKeitham Stadium, where he's tracking those showers. Tony?
Good evening, Chloe, Jessica. I'm out now at McKeitham Stadium, where the skies are looking pretty clear if I'm looking out to the east, but out to the west, We are noticing some increasing cloud cover, and live radar as well shows it. A couple of cells developing out near Dixie, Gilchrist County, and a couple of cells just off to the west of the 75 corridor could be impacting areas here and could be the signs of the start of a collision. So the game doesn't start till 7 o'clock here against Stetson, but looks like it'll be the game should start on time. However, the concern is for expected delays during the game. Hour by hour forecast shows the chance for the showers should be tapering off closer to midnight, otherwise a mild and muggy night ahead with temperatures down near the upper 60s by midnight. We will be tracking the rains though at ufweather.org. You can get your latest look at your radar, and coming up in my full forecast I've got details of a warming trend as well as our next front that could make for a wet weekend ahead. Back to you.
Thanks, Tony. A University of Florida research team has found a new way to fly with your mind. The team has developed a drone controlled entirely by brain waves. Engineering students use a helmet-like device that records electrical signals coming from the brain. The device analyzes the data and then allows the wearer to control the drone's movements with his thoughts. The group also hopes to take what the medical field has learned from these types of devices and build upon it with their own research.
Boaters and business owners in Cedar Key say a planned bridge reconstruction project could have a major effect on the town.
Both want the bridge to change, but disagree about what that change should be. WUFT's Nicole Acevedo joins us from the newsroom now. Nicole, you spoke to residents on both sides of this debate. What are their concerns?
Well, ladies, the two groups have very distinct views about what should be done to the C Street Bridge, the only bridge that leads to the heart of the city's commerce and tourism. And there are a couple options on the table right now, but coming to a final decision on this is proving to be a lot harder than they thought.
It's a debate that's been on and off for more than 6 months, but still, locals have not been able to agree on the future of the C Street Bridge, acting as the only entrance to Dock Street. After 50 years of boating in Cedar Key, Bob McKinstry says people with larger boats could benefit if the bridge is elevated.
Larger boats definitely would have a problem getting under the bridge.
There's still one big problem that larger boats could face when coming into this area, and that's what happens at low tide. These boats right here are completely sitting on mud right now, and until the tide goes back up, they're stuck.
On a low tide, the larger boats really can't get out. But on a higher tide coming back in, they can't get through this area, because the boat's too high.
But shop owners say they could be stuck too. Currently, Dock Street is a one-way road with limited parking on both sides.
That's just the way Cedar Key's been for, as long as the bridge has been there, it's been that way.
And he hopes the construction could help bring in more customers.
Going forward, if there's the option to have more parking, it would definitely be something that's beneficial to everyone out here.
But the options laid out from this project won't be able to do both. 3 options are currently on the table. One would lift the bridge up another 1.5 feet and make it wider to allow for more parking. Another plan would bring the bridge up another 4 feet for bigger boats. And the last would keep it the same.
Depends on how cost effective it would be since they're going to rebuild it anyway. How cost effective it would be just go ahead and raise it. And I would think, that's my opinion, I'd go ahead and raise it.
And these alternatives also could bring some additional headaches during construction. Some of these options would close the bridge completely for months. And this time, both boaters and shop owners can agree it's important the bridge stay open. Reporting from the newsroom, Nicole Acevedo, WUFT News.
Thanks, Nicole. Imagine waking up to a bear roaming through your house. It happened to a Florida family, and now they're worried it could happen again. Caroline Tidwell woke up to what she thought was her husband getting ready for work. Turns out it was a bear wandering around her home. Tidwell feared the bear was eating one of her cats, but they were safe, hiding on top of the kitchen cabinets.
I could have literally reached out and touched him. So I said, "There's a bear in the house. I am not joking. Wake up right now."
All the commotion scared it away only for a day. Saturday morning, it showed up again. FWC says bear sightings are typical this time of year. Springtime means bears are hungry and they'll take what they can get, even if it's a bowl of chocolates in your living room.
A massive fire destroyed a Jacksonville flea market last night. The 4-alarm blaze destroyed 60 businesses in the flea and farmers market. It took more than 100 firefighters more than 2 hours to put out the fire. No one was injured. State and local fire marshals are investigating and say it might take some time to determine the cause of the fire.
WFT News at 6 is just getting started. Coming up, the race for the White House is gaining momentum. Another Republican senator has thrown his hat into the ring. Find out more coming up.
Plus, the people of Guinea are stepping up their efforts to fight Ebola, what they're doing to stop the disease, and more coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. Widespread power outages are affecting the Washington, D.C. area. The power outage was caused by a small explosion at a power transfer line in southern Maryland. The White House lost power but was on a backup generator and is now back on normal power. The Department of Justice and State Department both lost power. A spokesperson for the D.C. Metro says the trains are operating as normal. However, some stations are reporting local power outages. The outage also forced the Smithsonian to evacuate 4 of its museums in D.C. Senator Rand Paul made it official today in Louisville. He's seeking the Republican nomination for president. And the Tea Party Fire Band is asking his backers to help him, as he puts it, defeat the Washington machine. Paul blamed both major parties for what he says is a decline in America's economic outlook, a rise in the national debt, and misplaced priorities such as wasteful overseas involvement.
As I watch our once great economy collapse under mounting spending and debt, I think, what kind of America will our grandchildren see? It seems to me that both parties and the entire political system are to blame.
Paul is a first-term senator who is emphasizing outreach to groups he says haven't traditionally been courted by Republicans. He has an ambitious campaign schedule for the rest of the week with trips to New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, and Nevada. He becomes the second major party candidate to officially announce his bid after Republican Senator Ted Cruz entered the race in late March. At least 5 people are dead following the crash of a small plane near Bloomington, Illinois. The plane departed Indianapolis around midnight en route to the Central Illinois Regional Airport. According to relatives, the group was returning home from attending the NCAA basketball championship game when their twin-engine Cessna went down just a mile from its destination. Authorities believe that heavy fog may have played a role in the crash. The FAA and NTSB are on their way to investigate the cause of that crash.
Now taking a look at what's going on around the globe, Guinea has implemented a 45-day emergency plan to fight Ebola. Following a dip in new cases in January, they have spiked again since early March in and around the capital, prompting officials to announce a new phase of the epidemic in Guinea. About 10,500 people have died from Ebola so far in West Africa. Authorities said food and medical supplies would be given to affected communities, although they did not specify where or when such restrictions would take effect. Neighboring Sierra Leone is currently implementing a nationwide lockdown as part of a drive to accelerate the end of the epidemic. A Russian nuclear submarine caught fire in a shipyard today. Russian news agencies are reporting the submarine was being repaired when it caught fire. There is no news of any casualties. None of the submarines you're seeing in this video is the one that caught fire. A Russian news agency has reported that no weapons were on board at the time of the blaze. Some reports say the fire started during welding. The submarine's nuclear reactor is believed to have been shut down before the fire. The shipyard and Russia's emergency ministries have declined to comment. 5 women activists planning to protest against sexual harassment are detained in China. The lawyer for Chinese feminist Wei Tingting today welcomed calls from Hillary Clinton and other international community for her release. Clinton denounced the detention of women activists as inexcusable. Her comments came as it appears almost certain the 5 will be formally arrested. The women were detained on the weekend of International Women's Day on March 8th on suspicion of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. The decision to detain the women comes amid a clampdown on dissent. Chinese President Xi Jinping's administration has detained hundreds of activists in the past 2 years, and what some rights groups say is the worst suppression of dissent in 2 decades.
And bringing it back to north central Florida, above average temperatures continue this week. Your forecaster Tony Sadiku tells us more.
All right, above average temperatures continuing this week, but I am also keeping my eye on radar cells increasing near Gainesville. I'll take you through future track after the break. A lot of heat and instability has fired off some sea breeze storms on both sides of Gainesville this afternoon. we could see a few more as we progress into the evening hours. I'm live from McKeithen Stadium. I'm University of Florida forecaster Tony Sadiku. The game is here against Stetson, beginning at 7, is planned to start on time, but they are watching for the potential for a couple of delays as the storms near this area. I'm going to take you to live radar now, where a couple of cells are developing and brewing just on both sides. A few spotty showers now continuing in Dixie and Levy County. Within the past few minutes, new cells have developed near High Springs and also just to the west of the Gainesville metro area. Although this could be the beginning of a possible sea breeze collision here within the next hour or two. We'll be watching that closely. We encourage you to visit our website, ufweather.org, for the latest on the timing, as well as you can also get your latest radar on there as well. High confidence that we will see new storms develop near I-75. Those could include areas near Alachua counties, Marion counties, between the hours of 7 and 10 o'clock, some potentially strong as well. So that's where I think we will see the sea breeze merge together and could be impacting those areas, including Lake City, after 7 o'clock until 10 or even 11 o'clock, with most of the activity ending by midnight. Fog going to be the main concern as we progress into the overnight hours, though much of that will be building in, especially in the areas where we did see the rain, and primarily from 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning. So morning commute is just something to keep an eye out on there. Lows tonight, otherwise mid-60s in inland locations, so 62 Lake City, 63 in Gainesville, so warmer towards the beaches. Highs tomorrow looking for widespread middle 80s, and the beaches will be the cool spot. They'll be in the 70s, upper 70s. Our headline, spotty rain event with some sea breeze collision possible late Wednesday. I'm thinking most of that will occur off to the west of the 75 corridor. Hot Thursday and Friday, could be pushing near record warmth on a Thursday. Watching that closely as well, and it definitely could be a wet weekend as we see likely storms in the afternoon. Here's a look at future track as we move it through. High pressure building will mean some drier air Thursday and Friday. Our next front holds off until Saturday and Sunday, but folks, we are watching certainly a wet weekend alert here, as this one will stall and could impact your weekend plans. Of course, we'll be tracking that closely as well. This one will have cooler and drier behind it, so certainly something to look forward to as well. A look at your updated 6 days shows the sea breeze once again impacting areas off to especially west of the 75 corridor. On your Wednesday, hot and dry the story. By Thursday, we are warming up, and then there it is. The rain chance is building back into the forecast, 50-60% this weekend before we finally dry out on Monday. So once again, I'm live at McKeithen Stadium with the game scheduled to start like planned, but we will be watching for the potential for some showers and even some storms to develop, especially in Gainesville, Marion County, and along the I-75 corridor. Once again, you can always get the latest forecast and radar. That's at ufweather.org. Jessica, Chloe, back to you.
Thanks, Tony. There was plenty of sun this afternoon at the Swamp when the Stars of Gator football hit the field for Pro Day.
NFL scouts and coaches were on hand for player workouts. With more, we bring in Joel Sebastianelli.
And today was the last day, or at least one of the last days, for them to impress NFL scouts. Last day for them at the Swamp, too, before the draft in 3 weeks. 22 players participated. One of them was DJ Humphries. We'll hear from the possible early round draft pick and more coming up on Sports. Welcome back. I'm Joel Sebastianelli, and here's what's happening in sports. Florida football's on-field results this season left a lot to be desired, but for prospects hopeful of playing at the next level, the on-field results that matter the most now are the ones in front of NFL scouts. Today was Pro Day for Gator football at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. One last moment to shine at the Swamp. Two players in particular stood out. Defensive end Dante Fowler Jr. has been projected as high as third in the upcoming draft. Offensive lineman DJ Humphries could join him on day one as well. After a strong combine, Humphries looked as strong and as big as ever.
For one, that my weight was realistic from the combine. I wasn't just chugging water just to be big, you know what I mean? Let them know that my weight is still staying on me, and that I can really move at that weight, you know what I mean? I can still consistently move the same way and play fast like I do.
Humphreys and Fowler are 2 of 22 who participated at Pro Day. Here's a look at some of the other notables. Perhaps the most interesting story is the presence of lineman Leon Orr. Orr controversially walked away from the team 5 months ago, but he still worked out with the Gators on Tuesday. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin attended this afternoon as well. Florida baseball spent the weekend on the road, but their holiday wasn't a happy one. Now they look to regroup at home against Stetson, and our own George Perez is there. George, what do the Gators need to improve on, and who will they look to for leadership tonight?
Well, Joel, it was a rough Easter weekend for the Gators. Strong showing from ace Logan Shore on Friday night, and then the Gators dropped the final 2. But the Gators quickly turning their attention to the Stetson Hatters. Now the Gators took the first one against the Hatters in DeLand 9-6. Kevin O'Sullivan's squad is 19-3 here at McKeithen Stadium and are looking for junior southpaw Danny Young to get him to number 20. Young making his first appearance on this, his first start on the season, has a 2.55 ERA, 18 strikeouts in just as many innings of work. The Gators are also going to be depending on their bats in their lineup with 5 hitters batting over 300 on the season. First pitch from McKeithen Stadium is set for 7 p.m., weather permitting. Reporting live, George Perez, WUFT Sports.
All right, thank you, George. Florida lacrosse went through its own midseason swoon. For just the second time in program history, the Gators dropped 3 straight games back in March. But conference play is a new start, and now UF looks to win its 4th game in a row tomorrow against Marquette. Last time out, Florida handed the Georgetown Hoyas their 9th loss of the season, 18-4. Senior Shannon Gilroy had 5 goals and 3 assists on Saturday, but she doesn't carry the team alone. The Gator game plan is to keep the intensity ramped up high and spread the ball around.
When someone makes a good play, we're really trying to build off that and then make another good play, and hopefully that's something that we can keep doing so we can have a full 60 minutes of good play.
Tomorrow's matinee gets underway at 12:30. The Duke Blue Devils had their one shining moment against Wisconsin in the men's national title game last night. Another pair of #1 seeds battle to be the best women's team tonight. Notre Dame and UConn tip off at 8:30. Combined, the Irish and Huskies have gone 73-3 this year, and Connecticut has won by a lot. Even if they lost by 192 points, they would still set the record for the largest single-season scoring margin in history. Now, we talked about lacrosse senior Shannon Gilroy a few moments ago. She's not just an all-time Gator great. She's a national great right now, leads the nation in points, and she ranks 2nd in goals.
Sounds like she's had a good season.
Definitely. So what's next for the team?
Well, the team has 4 games left, including tomorrow at Marquette. They're ranked in the top 10, but they don't play any more ranked teams, even in the Big East tournament in 3 weeks, so they can't slip up now before the NCAAs.
Great. Thank you, Joel. One last look at the weather forecast after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back live from McKeithen Stadium. I'm Tony Sadiku. Quick check at live radar. Does show a few cells developing close to Gainesville. We'll be keeping our eyes closely on that as we could see some of those move into our direction here by the 7 or even the 8 o'clock hour. The game, though, at this time is scheduled to start on time. And like I mentioned earlier in my last update, I do think we will see increasing showers and even some storms possible as we move through the 7, the 8 o'clock hour. Confidence growing now that a collision will take place and storms could fire near and off to the east of Gainesville. We encourage you to track with us. That's at ufweather.org. Once again, your updated 6-day spotty showers possible on your Wednesday, mainly after 3 o'clock. And then Thursday, Friday, we finally dry out before rain chances build back into the forecast later this weekend. Chloe, Jessica, back to you.
Thanks, Tony, and thank you at home for watching WFT News at 6, a production from UF's Innovation News Center.
We'll see you again tomorrow. And don't forget, WUFT News is always on at WUFT.org. The Nightly Business Report is coming up next. Good night.